been available to me, my
Mm.
cohorts, anybody. And so, with all of that research that I did all on my own, and the struggle was real.
Thank you guys for joining again with the Talking with Robert podcast. Today, I have with me a very special guest, Aleha.
Hey, what's up?
Yeah, welcome, welcome, welcome. Um, so we're gonna just get started right up in here. How was your day today?
Wonderful. How was yours?
I can't complain. Just started.
Happy to
S-
be here with you.
yeah, appreciate you. So just to start with the questions, can you tell us about your experience serving in the Air Force?
Oh, man. Well, I mean, I can tell you after 21 years, I have seen it all. I have some amazing memories. I've made some of the best friends, and honestly, I have some scars too because that's what happens when you
Comes to the
spend 21
territory.
years in the same industry. But you know what? Honestly, I wouldn't do anything else. I don't regret it for a second because along with all those scars I have some of the best friends I've ever made in my life. And, the military really did make me a stronger and more resilient person today. So, yeah.
Nice, nice. So are you like Texas native as well?
Sort of. So I was born here. I
Yeah,
was
okay.
born in Killeen, and I moved away when I joined the military. And then when I retired, we wanted to come back to Texas, but we certainly weren't going to go back to Killeen. And so my husband said, I love San Antonio. Why don't we go back to San Antonio? And I said, let's do it. So that's how we got here.
So how like based on your experiences here in San Antonio, how do you like it so far?
I love it. I absolutely love it. I love that we only get a month of cold, and then the rest of the year is okay. I love it, and honestly, the just the way of life here is great. I just Texas. I'm Texas bred, Texas born. This is who I am. I'm glad to be back.
Yeah. All right. So next question: how have your experiences in the military influenced your approach to supporting the veteran community?
Well, my retirement was pretty unusual because I retired right as COVID hit. So, right when COVID struck all of the bases, all of those resources that they give us normally to retire, excuse me, to retire, vanished. They all either went online or they just
What?
omitted the requirement. Yeah. So I went through retirement with basically nothing, nobody to help, and I had to figure it out on my own. But that ended up kind of being a more of a serendipitous event because I was able to locate resources that were not normally available within the veteran community. I went outside of my normal resources to find things that normally wouldn't have been available to me, my
Mm.
cohorts, anybody. And so, with all of that research that I did all on my own, and the struggle was real, I was able to put those resources together. And then when it was all said and done, I realized there's no way that this transition should be this hard for anybody else. And
Right.
so, I kind of accumulated all of that information, and now I share it with any future transitioning veterans because the struggle should not be that real.
No, no, not at all. Like, I mean, you would expect like the military to have like their shit together,
Yeah,
like for real.
right.
But
Nobody had it together. Nobody was prepared for COVID. Nobody, not even the military. When COVID hit and they said nobody can interact in public together right now, we're all dangerous. I how am I supposed to do this? I don't know what I'm doing. And they said, figure it out. Well, okay, here I go.
wow, you would expect more support like from that, but I guess.
Yeah.
Can you share any specific challenges that you faced in your military career when you were active?
I have faced some pretty significant struggles in my career. Um, you could probably blame any one of them on sexism, racism, favoritism, all of the above.
Mm.
The military is not immune to the things that any other workforce experiences, and unfortunately, even though these types of prejudices are not allowed, it still happens,
Right.
even in the military. Unfortunately, the military is built around a culture of do what I say. Don't
Right.
question it. Don't question me. Just do what you're told. And so, while the need for discipline in the military is absolutely necessary, it does not allow any room for innovative thought, nor does it provide any room for accountability for unethical leaders. So it also creates a breeding ground for employee disengagement, which ultimately brings the overall mission to a screeching halt.
Well, oh, yeah. I can see where that can be difficult. Was there like any specific experience that you have that you were willing to share?
Sure. So, for instance, I went on leave for a week.
Mm.
And during that week, we were told that, or I shouldn't say we, my leadership was told, hey, this big, super important general is going to come visit us, and he's going to brief everybody on his his work and what he does and what he wants for you and what he sees as a vision. All of that happened while I was gone.
Mm.
And so when I came back, my very first day back on the job, he was there. He was set to brief everybody at 10 a.m. Well, nobody told me, and I had not gotten to those emails yet because I had only been at work for 3 hours so
Right.
far. So he starts his brief, everybody's vanished, and I don't know what's going on.
Mm.
And I said, I start looking around the building. I don't know where anybody is. I finally find everybody in the auditorium, and I walk into this big, important general doing his brief because I don't know where my people are. And nobody told me anything. And I ended up being punished for that. I was punished for being late to the general's meeting because
No one
nobody
told
told
you.
me.
Like,
And I was literally just trying to find them. And that's how I walked in there into the middle of, yeah. And so things like that, it's just, it really destroys your drive to want to do anything.
it
When,
demotivates you.
yeah, absolutely. My supervisor should have said, hey, by the way, first thing in the morning when you get back, be in this auditorium at this time.
Right.
Because this, and this is happening. But that didn't happen, and
At
I
all.
was punished for not being there.
The miscommunication's honestly real in the military.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
like you expect like them to be your support, because you're supposed to be a team.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's all in it for themselves sometimes.
Yes.
A lot of the time.
Sure.
But I'm not saying anything bad about the military. We have an amazing military structure. How we conduct business in foreign lands is honestly top tier, top notch.
Oh yeah,
Did
we
you
have
see
the best military in the world.
Right.
Hands down.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Did you see that what Biden said about the military and the UN and like how
No, I didn't see that.
So there was an article I saw saying that Biden said, or his area of expertise said, that the UN's military is just bare bones. They're not they're not equipped for a full frontal assault. Like you're not ready for an actual war. Your troops aren't there. Your equipment's not there. It's actually bottom tier. It's not conducive with the new war fighting capabilities that we have right now.
Yeah.
Would you say you agree with that?
Well, I don't know about other people's or other, other
Countries.
militaries, but I can say that truly we really do put everything into our military. All of our money, all of our, our gumption, it all goes into the military because we have to be able to defend ourselves. Right. And we are known for defending other people who cannot defend themselves. And the only way we can do that is by ensuring that we have all of those resources, all that money put into there.
Right. I like it.
Yeah.
How has your journey so far pursuing your EDD in healthcare leadership and education been so far?
So this was never in the cards for me. I'm just going to keep it real with you. A doctorate was 100% never in the cards for me. I graduated high school with a 2.67 GPA. I could barely get into community college at that point.
Wow.
Yeah. I joined the military as a way to get out of my mom's house because there was no college in the cards for me. You
Right.
know, I started taking my first college course when I was in Guam, primarily just because I just wanted something productive to do with my spare time and no other reason. And somehow, some way that has produced 3 master's degrees, and now I'm in my doctorates, and I still have no idea how I got here other than I just never gave up and I never stopped.
Hey, what are your degrees in?
So I have healthcare management, technology management, which sounds techy and IT, but it's not. It's more like leadership management.
Okay.
And then I also have HR.
HR management.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. So what are you getting your doctorate in?
Education and leadership.
Education and leadership. Let's go.
Yeah.
All right. Can you speak about your future plans for using your education and experience and the impact the healthcare and the impact in the healthcare industry?
Yeah, of course. Healthcare tends to be one of the biggest hotspots for a toxic culture. And it's not intentional, and I wouldn't even say it's systemic. I would just say it's because there are so many specialties
Mhm.
in healthcare. Most of us have to go to school for a very long time to be able to work in healthcare. Most of us have to invest a lot of time and effort in order to do these things. Even as far as a radiology tech, most of them have to have 4 years college. You know, then you have all of your medical providers, all of your nurses. You have all of these people in healthcare that have to put in so much time and effort in to become who they are in the workforce that we tend to become confident, maybe even cocky,
Mm-hmm.
and feel that maybe our experiences and opinions are king.
Right.
But the thing is that we're all feeling that way, and so that kind of tends to create a
Make a rub.
friction.
Yeah.
Right, it causes friction, and it's not intentional. We all feel entitled to our opinion at that point because we've put so much work into it, right?
My experience is better than yours, or
Right.
stuff like that.
Yeah, of course, but that
Sounds like the
friction,
military.
yeah. Hashtag preach. But this can cause friction when everyone in the pond is an expert in their own right, and they truly are an expert in their own right.
Right.
My desire is to go into this field, and I want to show them how to reduce that friction. I want to show them how everyone can be experts in their own field while still facilitating maximum production and employee engagement.
Okay. Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
What advice would you give to individuals who are looking to transition from the military to civilian life?
Hands down, leave your rank on your uniform. Leave your rank on your uniform. I cannot stress that enough. Nobody cares what rank you were in your last career. Nobody. This is your new career, and your current team needs your existing skills. Many veterans enter the civilian world with unrealistic expectations. They think, I deserve this high level position because I was a veteran and I did all this work. No, bro, you are starting over, just like me. We all start over once our military career is over. And I'm not saying you have to start at the bottom, but you cannot approach something thinking that you're entitled to some high ranking manager position.
Right.
Being a veteran is absolutely a bonus when all other qualifications are equal, but that does not make it an entitlement to a position.
Right.
Leave your rank on your uniform.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. But that does not mean like leave your experience there as well.
No,
I mean,
not at all.
Like we need those leadership.
We need yeah, absolutely. And most military members that retire come with excellent leadership skills. Along with that comes with some ego sometimes. I'm gonna need you to remember that you aren't wearing that rank anymore.
Right. Can you talk about a time that you had to overcome adversity, and how did you do it?
Mm, 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 mm. I tell this story a lot. I tell this story a lot because this was the most significant thing that ever happened, not just in my life, but I'm sorry, not just in my career, but in my life. I was beat down pretty hard twice in my career, twice, and I'll tell you both in both stories, and you'll see that the difference between the outcome of both stories is solely because of how I handled it.
Mm.
So the first time it happened, I had just returned from a deployment where I was sexually assaulted. I came back from the deployment and I was not I didn't report it. I was just trying to deal with it on my own, and with all of that comes erratic behavior, emotional reactions, and I was just desperate for the anger and the fear to go away.
Right.
I was not myself at all. I was a wreck, and I was just trying to survive in the work center at that time. Um, this was also a terrible time to be emotionally broken because I was placed in a work center that had severely toxic leadership. This environment would have been difficult for anyone to be successful in, but especially someone that was emotionally not stable at the time.
Right.
And I'm just being honest.
Right.
I was extremely vulnerable, basically, and it created turmoil. So instead of trying to determine why I was so different, why I was so erratic, why I wasn't processing things the way a normal functioning adult processes things, they started punishing me for things that I did not do or could not help, or things of that nature. Just for example, I used to come in an hour early every morning so I could knock out all my emails before anyone else came in. Because as soon as the crowd comes in, I get pulled in 1,000 different directions. So I need to get those emails knocked out before they get there. I would come in an hour every single day, an hour early. One day I had a doctor's appointment where I was required to leave 15 minutes early, and it was approved. And I still got punished for leaving 15 minutes early. Yes.
Oh, that. Oh.
Toxic, toxic, toxic.
Do you think they had like a vendetta against you or something?
It became that way, and that's very common, unfortunately, in the military. Is once you mess up once, even if you didn't really mess up, once you mess up, it's done. They're coming for you. There is a target on your head.
Right.
So all of that to say is the way I responded to that scenario. It continued to happen, by the way. They continued punishing me for things I didn't do, couldn't control. It just became insane. Um, I allowed my leadership to convince me that I lacked value. I allowed them to gossip amongst themselves about untruths, slam me with punishment I didn't earn, and I crawled into a dark hole. Mm-hmm. I cried at my desk every single day, and not one person stopped to see if I was okay. Not one person. Eventually, I couldn't fake it anymore, and I disappeared for 3 days. Not one person called me to find out where I was. The only reason I'm still here today is because of one coworker that knew the signs, that recognized the signs. And I know you know where I'm going with this. Mm-hmm.
You were there.
I was there.
Mm-hmm.
And he acted when no one else did. He came to my house one day, busted in. My doors were locked. He broke in to my house, found me in a dark hole in a room, haven't left my bed in 3 days, picked me up and took me to get help.
What help did you guys go get?
First, he took me to make sure that physically everything was okay, and I just hadn't eaten in 3 days. And then he took me to get psychiatric help.
Right.
I was not dealing with the trauma, and my supervisors and leadership, even my commander at the time, was just further making the trauma worse,
Right. They weren't helping you with the trauma. They were exacerbating
yes,
the symptoms.
Absolutely. And like I said, anybody in that scenario, and I can say that because my cohort was in that same scenario, and he was feeling the same things, but I was not emotionally prepared to deal with that kind of toxic work environment, and I was done.
I can understand that. There's been times in my life where things just get more difficult and trauma just adds on to trauma, and you don't
Yes.
want to get the help because it's like, well, I get the help and it doesn't go away.
Yeah.
Like you're still gonna have to live with it. You're still gonna have to deal with it. Hopefully it's a better framework for dealing with it. But like to me, it just never really goes away in that aspect. You
Yeah.
know. Um, Thank you for sharing, by the way, and I'm so
Yeah.
sorry that happened to you. Oh my
No,
god.
but there's a silver lining. The second time something similar happened, right? The second time was very different. I was in a very unique scenario where I was in a unit where I was the technical expert and as far as finance goes, so I was there to be the financial advisor to this commander. I was also the senior enlisted advisor, so I was in charge of all of the enlisted folks in that unit. Our first commander, when I first got there, he was amazing, the most amazing leader I've ever had in my life. I would follow that man to the day that I die. He was such a great leader. You could tell that he was somebody that was born with leadership suave, if you will. And then somebody taught him just a few techniques, not even a lot, just enough to lay that suave on everything.
Right.
He was a great, great leader, and honestly, today I would be so excited to see him. But he eventually we all get replaced, and he was replaced by the most ethically bankrupt leader I've ever experienced in my life. He made several financial choices against my advisement. I would tell him, hey, you can't do that with government funds. And he would do it anyway because
you know,
I'm the commander. I do what I want.
that's how it goes.
So I tried everything I could to guide him back to the righteous path, but he was not interested. So, like at one point, like one day, I bought a bunch of supplies that I was going to divvy out to all my people. That we send people out to the field all the time where they're out there in the middle of the dark, like with nothing. And so I got the two team leaders a watch that had like a GPS and a compass and all kinds of stuff like that on it, so that if they ever did get lost, because they did sometimes, they could find their way back to the point.
Right.
Well, I had two watches. This commander walks by me as I'm inventorying everything, takes one of the watches and says, "It's good to be king," and goes into his office. He took the watch that I used government funds to buy for his team leader for himself. Things like that.
Mm.
So eventually I had no choice. I ended up having to report him to his leadership and my leadership. Being a financial manager, you have your own accreditation and
Right.
everything, and you have to protect that. So I reported it to them. I reported it to his boss. I said, "It's not me. I'm not doing
No,
it."
I'm
I
not
told
doing.
him not to. He did it anyway.
Yeah, I'm not complicit.
Right, right, right. So around the same time frame, I made a mistake in my personal life. I made a social media post that was less than tasteful.
Hmm.
We've all done it. Let's be
Right.
honest.
Oh,
We've all done it. I did not do it under my real name. I did not do it in any way connected to the military, but somehow, some way, someone got pissed off about it and they found my boss. They tracked down my boss because they didn't like a Facebook post.
mm.
So, because of that Facebook post, he came for me hard. And I mean hard. And just like the last story, he started punishing me for things I didn't do or couldn't help, all these things. And the only thing that made any sense that could explain his behavior was I had just reported his activities.
Right.
Why would he come for me so hard over something
So
so
trivial.
trivial unless he had ulterior motives? And it got to a point where I started to feel I was already traumatized, right? I'm already thinking, oh God, it's happening again. Please, please don't do this. Please don't do
Like a
this.
mini panic attack.
Yes. I started to shrink. I started to become this person that I swore I would never see again. And then my husband said, absolutely not. You are not going to let this man, this morally corrupt man, do this to you. You decide how you're going to respond to this. You do not have to tolerate this. This is not going to happen to you. And I said, you know what? You're right. You're absolutely right. I'm not going to break down this time.
So what did you do?
I took all of my evidence, everything that he did, everything, and all of the evidence of my innocence of all the things that he was accusing me of doing just so he could punish me, all of it, big stack like that big. I took it to the base commander, the IG, my leadership, and I sent it all the way to Las Vegas, which was his headquarters. I made a lot of copies. I spent a lot of money because I was not going down that time.
Yeah, nah.
And it took a while, but I moved to another base, and about a month after I left, I found out he was publicly removed from command, not just fired. The commander from Las Vegas flew out there, removed him from command with a crowd, and publicly placed his replacement in that seat.
Oh, that's crazy. That's
all because he didn't want to listen to me when I said, what you're doing with government funds is not acceptable right now.
Right. I mean, karma. Look, man, like that just seems.
So when you think about it, and I say this a lot, you have to believe in yourself, because that first story, I didn't. I let them destroy me. I let them beat me down. I let it happen. That second time, it's not going to happen this time.
Right.
I got you. I'll come at you with the same force, homie. Let's show you what happens. I will show you what happens. And I did.
Hey, man. That's inspiring, honestly, because it's like you came from a place of just darkness.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And then you got the help, had the foundation and the framework to say never again. And that's honestly inspiring to me.
Yeah.
Thanks. No problem. Can you share any tips for balancing the demands of continuing education and personal life?
Honestly, it's not as hard as most people think it's going to be. Many of us talk ourselves out of it because we think we can't handle the extra responsibility. But honestly, once you get started, it just becomes a part of your day. It's no longer an extra plate to carry. It's just part of your day. Also, identify your support system. Everybody needs a support system. Everybody has a support system, but you got to make sure you know who it is, because you need to use it to the maximum extent possible. And those people that are your support system, they want to see you succeed. So why not reach out to them and say, hey, man, I really got to get this paper done. Do you mind taking care of this for me so I can focus on this? Your support system is there for a reason. Use it.
Right, right. What would you say to people that don't have a support system? Who would you go to, or is there any areas that are available for like a support system like that?
Honestly, a lot of schools have those types of resources for you. Just a lot of students don't know it's there. They don't know it's there. They don't use it, or they think, oh, that's I gotta go apply and do that. No, you don't. It's all there for you, man. Your teachers, ask your teachers. I'm a higher ed instructor myself. If my student were to reach out to me and say, hey, I'm really struggling with balancing this, can I get an extension? Absolutely. Okay. Absolutely. You just gotta ask. You
gotta ask. Yeah, look, man, closed mouths don't get fed.
Right? Hashtag preach.
What the quote, you have a quote on your LinkedIn profile. The biggest thing the world should fear is a capable person that believes in themselves. Can you tell me what that means and how you apply that to your life?
Yeah, that's my mantra. You've heard my story. I've overcome the haters of all haters, But I think, for most people, we face so many things that try to keep us down on a daily basis. Every one of us does. We have work obligations, family obligations, the daily Karen, But when an individual possesses both capability and self-confidence, they have the potential to reach the greatest of achievements. while simultaneously posing a threat to those haters that want to keep them down, you know?
Right.
So we all have haters. You could be the nicest person in the world, and someone's going to complain that you're too damn nice. I don't like her. She's too nice. So don't let your haters determine your fate. The difference between success and failure is 100% you have to believe in yourself.
True. I mean, like, look, you're not successful if you don't have a couple haters, man. You're not
Truth.
successful if you don't have a couple haters.
That's the truth. But more
Uh,
importantly, what does that phrase mean to you?
the biggest thing the world should fear is a capable person that believes in himself. To me, that phrase is speaking to um, my self confidence. You know,
Mm,
to me, I was growing up. I really didn't have a lot of self confidence. You know, when I was in the military, I still didn't have a self confidence, um, and that's like why people just ran over me. Like the yes or no sir, it was more than just a respect thing.
yeah.
It was a coward thing. I don't know another word to say it, but like it was like you don't, what's the word I'm looking for? You don't get to be in high positions of power without self-confidence and a moral judgment and everything else, you know. And I listen to a lot of Jordan Peterson. Um
Oh, yeah.
and like he says, you know, clean up your room, um make sure that you have your chin out, head up, you know, everything about you needs to be in a power stance, you know. But Jordan Peterson said something that I think a lot of people need to hear, especially young people with like low self confidence, is that no matter what you go through and the trials and tribulations that you go through, um, make sure that you never lie or at least tell the truth. You know, I got those two backwards and switched up, but
No, I like it.
um, like it speaks to me, man. I like the fact that a couple years ago I didn't have this. I wouldn't have the confidence to have a podcast right now, you know. And I just now starting. This is you're going to be my third video that's going
Yeah.
out. So um, doing that shows me that like with hard work, diligence, and consistency, that you become a capable person, you know, and you're able to tackle those tribulations and trials through life, you
Yeah.
know, even through your nervousness. So like you get to a certain point where it just becomes natural, you know, it
Yeah.
just becomes natural and second nature, you know, to do,
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely. I say all the time, it doesn't matter if you're scared, do it anyway.
do it anyway. Do it anyway. Let's do it.
Yeah.
That's my motto. Let's do it.
Yes.
Can you share any interesting stories or lessons that you've learned uh, that you might think are valuable to others right now? Like, I don't know about any upcoming events, any lessons that you learned going through college or anything like that.
I will say, so right around 2003, 2004-ish, I was stationed in Guam.
Mm.
And I was there for a year. And Guam is a beautiful island. It's got its dark sides, like every city island does. But it's a gorgeous island. I was 19. It was my basically my first job, so I was not in the right mindset. I'm 19 years old. I'm mad that I'm not old enough to go hang out with,
The rest were
the
rough for tumblers.
right, and I'm sitting here working 12-hour days. I'm working lots of weekends. I'm just mad, right? I forgot to enjoy the fact that I lived on a tropical island for a year. I spent so much time being mad and bitter and just working to live and living to work that I forgot that there's this beach right here within walking distance. My lesson from that assignment was, first of all, don't be so damn bitter, girl. It's not that serious. But also, don't forget the beauty that's around you. That island, to this day, I still have dreams about revisiting that island and actually enjoying it because I messed up when I was there the first time.
Okay. So don't.
Don't forget to enjoy the beauty around you.
Right. I can totally agree with that. There are times where like you just get tunnel vision and you don't like look around. Like right now,
Yes.
like we're in the studio. I
Right.
never thought we would be in the studio already. Um,
Yeah.
you tend to forget when you're working, when you're doing the things
Yes.
that are getting you paid and sustain your life. You know, um, it's just perspective. You need to have
Yeah,
perspective in life.
absolutely. It's the fishbowl concept, right? If you live in this fishbowl, all you can see is what's in the bowl. You don't see that there's all this rest going on outside of that bowl.
This wonderful life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's some things going on that I am not comfortable with, but you know what? This earth is still pretty freaking great.
You're telling me, man. Sometimes you kind of get like a sense of mortality. It's like, wow, I'm 25. I'm about to be 26, and this is just here for right now. I'm in this moment, and the moment's right here. Have you ever seen the movie, The Secret Life of Walter Mitty? You seen it?
Yeah.
So, do you remember the scene when they're on the mountain and they're taking a picture of the snow leopard? So, when he was taking a picture of the snow leopard and everything, the Minnie was saying, "Why don't you take a picture? Why don't you like snap this photo?" You know? And he was like, "Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I don't snap the photo." Because I just want to live right here in this moment, like right
Yes.
now, you know, and that right there to me kind of spoke to me. I was like, ooh.
Well, you got to my feels on that one.
Because people forget that. They forget that when you like are in this moment, like right now in the moment of life, you don't see you don't sometimes you don't see past your own self.
Yes.
You don't see past your own self. You don't see past the bullshit that you go through on a day-to-day basis because the bullshit is everywhere in your face.
Yes.
Because it's like right here. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you gotta take a step back and see the entire picture, man. And honestly, that's kind of what changed my perspective. Like 2022 was a year, dude. It was a year. It was a year.
You ain't never lied.
Man, it was a year. I'm gonna share something personal. My grandmother died that year. It hurt, but it didn't hurt like my grandfather's passing, you know. And you just for like I knew in myself, like I'm gonna need a month. I'm gonna need a month. My cousin was coming back. You know, he's still back over here. He helped me with the podcast and everything else like that. Thank you, Devin.
Hey, Devin.
So he helped me with the podcast. But before then, I knew I was gonna need a month. You know what I'm saying? Just to get through it, man. I still had to go to work.
Yeah.
I still had to work the job.
Yeah.
Still had to, support myself, you know. And I started to really realize that the bullshit was just in my face 24/7, and I didn't really enjoy life for like that month.
Yeah.
You know? So when Devin came back, he was like, "Hey man, we're working out. We're working out." We worked out with my coach AC Bryant III, my boy. And kind of got started. Like there's something great about working out that I don't think a lot of people are starting to get, but there are still a lot of people that don't understand. Like
absolutely,
when you work out, when you do a combat sport, or when you do anything extraneous that pushes yourself, like you gain that confidence. That confidence comes with the territory.
It does.
You know, that's why I like working out. That's why I like boxing. I do a lot of boxing. When you become proficient at it, you just like, oh my god, yeah, I'm there, I'm doing it. I'm the man. But yeah, man, it's just you gotta take a bird's eye view sometimes.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So, do you have anything else to add?
No, it's been great. I'm so happy to be here. San Antonio for life.
San Antonio for life. Let's go. Let's end it on that note. Thank you guys for joining us today. If you guys enjoyed the podcast, please like, share, and subscribe. And we are